Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Sarita. I have a single Bath & Body Works candle for you today, and it is from the Bridgerton collection, which frankly, I did not expect to buy any candles from this collection, even after I had smelled them, to be perfectly honest. But then I thought better of it, and I started hearing some good things about this Queen Charlotte's tea. And I have to be honest, of all of them when I smelled them, Queen Charlotte's tea and the Bridgerton study were the two that I thought were the most interesting, the most unexpected, and also the two that leaned in my direction in terms of my scent preferences. So when they were running a crazy sale, I thought, oh, what the heck, right? So I burned this. I have not burned the Bridgerton study yet, and I will at some point, but it's a pretty heavy, like cold weather kind of scent. So, I mean, I can do those all day long, regardless of season, because I like those kinds of candles. And I should probably do it soon, just because how long is this Bridgerton collection going to be sitting out? And I don't know, are they going to try to do away with it at semi-annual? I don't know. Anyway, Queen Charlotte's tea is rich bergamot, bold citrus, and black tea leaves. So on paper, it looks like black tea with citrus. And that is the formula for, to be perfectly honest, it's the formula for Lady Grey tea, not Earl Grey. Earl Grey tea is a black tea that has some bergamot in it. But for me, it's more black tea than it is bergamot. Whereas Lady Grey, and if you're not familiar with Lady Grey, oh, you should be. It's one of my favorite teas, and I'm not a tea person, but I'll go a long way for a Lady Grey. Lady Grey is the same formula, but with a lot more citrus and less black tea, if that makes sense. It's such a lovely fragrance. It's gorgeous. It's kind of a little floral too. So considering that they list here both bergamot and citrus, I would say probably more of a Lady Grey. And I actually think that Lady Grey tea would have been a very appropriate kind of tea note for this candle, given the marketing, given the collaboration, and given the fact that it's a little bit lighter and a little bit more, at least traditionally and in its marketing, feminine leaning, whatever. I would say that this candle is none of the above. I don't really get a strong Earl Grey note here, and I don't get a Lady Grey note. And I think the reason for it is that there is spice in this as well. I mean, I think there's a good amount of like cinnamon clove in here. So to be honest, this tea actually leans more toward Constant Comment from Bigelow than it does Earl Grey or Lady Grey. And if you're not familiar, Constant Comment is a much more low budget. I mean, not that Earl Grey and Lady Grey are very expensive either, but Constant Comment is like a cult favorite from the tea, budget tea company, Bigelow. And it is a traditional, like, heavy black tea with clove and cinnamon, particularly clove, and a lot of citrus. And in fact, the clove and the citrus are so powerful that they almost overwhelm the black tea note, and that's pretty impressive because a black tea note is actually quite robust. Yeah. So for me, this leans actually more in that direction. I do have to say that I think that because Constant Comment has a ton of really bold citrus in it too. It might have a little less spice than Constant Comment has. And what is, I think, really special about this candle is that there is a note that smells almost a little bit herbal slash, I hate to say soapy because I don't think that the candle goes like full board soap or body care necessarily, but I would say that there is even if it's just a back note here on this candle that broadens the candle in a perhaps not gourmand way. sometimes it hits me almost like a lemon verbena, to be honest, which is why I said kind of herbal. And then lemon verbena kind of has sometimes that little bit of a soapy nuance to it. And then I think that there's some amber in here maybe. So when you add something like an amber or a lemon verbena, I mean, it works perfectly in this fragrance. It doesn't make it less of a tea fragrance or whatever else. It just makes it more. It almost pushes it to be more of a tea conceptual than just a kind of slavishly, I don't know, like a literal tea kind of candle, if that makes sense. So like the tea candle that just came out this weekend, like the, what is it, sweet tea and lemonade or whatnot. I mean, that's a pretty like straightforward, gourmand, like just kind of reproducing a beverage kind of a candle. This one is much more unique and it has more layers and greater complexity. There might even be a little bit of musk there on the bottom. I mean, you smell it deep, you smell it long, and actually you can kind of develop with the candle. You know what I mean? Like it expands. And that's what I actually think is so special about it and what makes it actually a really great candle, full stop. And that Bridgerton collection for me was a little bit of a disappointment. Not that I'm a huge Bridgerton person and was like gonna die if the collection wasn't what I wanted it to be. But I thought it was a little bit phoned in. Especially the peach diamond of the season, I thought was terrifically phoned in. And I know a lot of people enjoy it, and I receive that it is probably a very pleasant candle. But for it to be the diamond of the season, I really did expect something special, and I don't think it was special. This candle approaches special. That said, it's a very niche candle. You have to really like tea, and I think you have to really like kind of a deep, unique conceptual to like this candle. This is not mainline. Although I was very heartened to see how many people really got behind this one. And I think in Bath & Body Works' catalog, this is a really unique candle, like really unique. Like I said, I think that all that was necessary here was like a Lady Grey tea kind of, I don't even think they had to do that much. And given how they phoned in the other ones, I think that this was just kind of like a fairly straightforward gourmand Lady Grey tea scent. It would have been absolutely fine. And so I'm actually kind of impressed that they seem to have put a great deal of thought and care into this fragrance. And it is in fact very deep and complex. And a candle that could very well be appreciated by like really serious candle people, if that makes sense. Because of the Bridgerton Netflix collab, I think there were a lot of people that came into the Bath & Body Works store to buy them that are not even serious Bath & Body Works shoppers, let alone serious candle buyers. And that's why, frankly, they could kind of get away with some like fairly basic or phoned in fragrances. This is not a phoned in fragrance by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm so glad that I think it was popular and I think it did well, but I would be nervous about how well this candle would do. Like when I smelled it, I thought, I kind of like this and I think it's unique. But the second thought that I had was, let's see who buys this candle. I'm a little concerned. It's not basic B enough, I think, to be in this collection. Yeah, I really liked it. By the way, this is very similar to, Kringle has a candle that they brought out in January or very early on in 2023 in their like spring collection called Tea Time with the Big Ben on the front. And it was a constant comment tea kind of fragrance. Between the two of them, I actually like this one better. I just do. I think that there's a little bit more complexity and depth here, whereas in the Kringle one, that depth was not there. I mean, it was an intriguing and I think well done spice citrus black tea. And it was cozy, etc., etc. But it was a little more shallow, whereas this one has a great deal of like conceptual depth to it, and it has more range across the board. So I actually have to give the nod here to Bath and Body Works for sure. I I think you might be a little offended if you're the kind of person that is offended if it's not like a true gourmand, and if there are other things that are possibly moving it outside of the gourmand range, if that like bothers you, then I think you will prefer Tea Time from Kringle, because I do think that there are some soft elements here. They are soft and they are supporting cast, but if I'm not mistaken, there are some like amber or even lemon verbena like notes to this that are sending it off into at least a more unexpected direction, and not just like a straight up like constant comment kind of reproduction, but I think also sends it off possibly in a little bit of a non-gourmand direction. Yeah, I like this one better than the Kringle one, and I would certainly repurchase this over Tea Time from Kringle. It also performed a little bit better than the Kringle candle. I'm trying to look here. I just brought like my candle notes over here. I sketch things down, but I didn't make any notes about Charlotte's tea, so I'm gonna have to recall. I'm gonna have to use my memory. It for the most part stayed in the back bedroom. So I don't think it did particularly well here in the open concept. I tried it a couple times. It just wasn't doing a whole lot. Yes, I could probably get about a 4 out of it, something like that, 4.5, maybe even a 5, but it wasn't doing well. So I took it to the back bedroom, and usually I wouldn't want like a food or gourmand kind of scent back there, even a tea scent. But because of those conceptual overtones, it actually worked beautifully in the back bedroom. And all of that kind of more floral, herbal amberness kind of came out as well, which is what I was expecting in the back bedroom, without losing that very quintessential like black tea kind of vibe at the same time. I would say that in the back bedroom, it got up to a 6.5. I would say a 6.5. A 6 to a 6.5 is about where it landed. Given the like spices in it, and some of the perfume overtones, it might have gotten up to a 7. You know, burned several hours back there, but I don't know that it was a very loud candle. That said, Tea Time from Kringle is much weaker than this one is. So for that comparison too, again, did much better than that. When it comes down to it, I just don't know that I'm really a tea person. I'm definitely, as you know from this channel, I'm a huge coffee person, and I'm not like offended by tea. I actually have a great deal of tea on hand that I almost never like drink from, because I'm a coffee kind of girl. But I also don't like tea scents in my house. I just have come to that realization. I don't like my house smelling like tea. I'm not even sure that I want my house smelling like coffee, but I would much rather have my house smelling like coffee than tea. So without disrespecting the fragrance or in any way, shape, or form trying to detract from it, I'm just not sure that this is my fragrance, and I don't know that I would repurchase it for that reason. However, if there was a tea fragrance that I would repurchase, it would definitely be this one. And I appreciate that it's a little bit more ambitious than just a straight up tea fragrance. In terms of burn, it did fine. I did get some like black marks here, but I think this was because I burned it a lot with the window open, and I think the flames kind of got pushed into the candle quite a bit. I burned this candle long, very long. It was like kind of lightly or moderately sooty, but it wasn't like anything like crazy. Burned all the way down to the wick clips and really did quite fine. So very decent performance for a Bath & Body Works candle, a decent strength or throw, and I think a more than decent thought, care, and attention to the fragrance. So that's what I've got for you from Queen Charlotte's Tea. I don't think I will repurchase another one, but like I said, it totally has to do with my own scent preferences and what I want my house to smell like. That is it. Because if we're just talking about the quality of the candle, the standards of the candle, the creativity of it, and really how gorgeous the fragrance is, just kind of in an objective, not subjective fashion, it is more than like repurchasable, I think. So if you lean in this direction at all, definitely pick another one up, and it'll be interesting to see if it goes for semi-annual. So that's Queen Charlotte's Tea. I will link below, obviously Queen Charlotte's Tea, which I believe is still available on the website, and it's certainly available in stores. There's still a pretty good Bridgerton like collection. That being said, I do believe that Bridgerton season 3 is coming to Netflix either this week or next week. Like there's a countdown clock, I think, online. So it is possible, and I don't know what I mean, Bath and Body Works needs to be doing some sort of like advertisement for that, and maybe Netflix will allow them to on Netflix. Like, I have no idea, but if there's any way that they could get an advertisement in there for these candles and push some people into the stores here while the buzz is intense, we may see a lot of those displays start to like reduce a little bit during this month. So it'll be interesting to see. For fun, I will also link down below Twinings Lady Grey tea, which I highly recommend. Earl Grey, I love the austerity of Earl Grey, but I'm not always in the mood for an Earl Grey, whereas Lady Grey, and if you can get the decaf version of it, then you might be able to like have it in the afternoons too. It usually doesn't bother me too much, like caffeine wise. All right, that's what I've got for you. So glad to see you here today, and I'll catch you in the next one.